Hello and welcome back, adventurers, to Underdark Cellars. Today is very exciting because we are launching a brand new series to cook through the Heroes Feast. Today we're making the Sembian Honey-Glazed Rothé Ribs. Let's dive right in and get started. Alright, keep in mind I am doubling this recipe, but first we need one large yellow onion cut in half and then grated. Now, this is a job for someone you dislike, so if you have like one of those family members that can't seem to like leave you alone or, you know, heaven forbid, like not judge you for all of your life choices, this is the perfect task for them because they will suffer immensely. My entire body was on fire after grating these onions.
Oh, my eyes.
Like I said, I was struggling. It hurt.
I don't even know what to do from here. Everything burns.
Now, for this recipe, you will need 5 cloves of garlic, finely minced. I do have a video on how to mince garlic for beginners. It's super easy. It results in a nice, fine, even mince, but I'll link that here. But if not, here's the basic rundown. Salt your cutting board, finely slice, and then mince. It just takes a little time, and you get a really nice, even mince. And you'll see here, look at that. That's perfect. So we're just gonna set that aside for when it's time. Now we're gonna start working on the glaze part of our sauce, and for that we're gonna need a half cup of ketchup and a half cup of honey. Now remember, I doubled this. It sounds like a lot of honey, but then you remember that it is honey glazed ribs. With that, we're gonna add a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, and 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard. And just give that a whisk together until everything is evenly combined. Make sure you scrape down the sides so you get all those ingredients incorporated. Now, in a large saucepan over medium heat, we are going to heat a tablespoon of oil and cook our grated onions down until the liquid has evaporated out and it leaves us with like a fluffy, almost mashed potato mixture. You see what I mean? It looks really fluffy. At that point, we're gonna add in our garlic and our seasoning. So we're going to add some chili powder and smoked paprika and cayenne pepper and salt. We're going to stir that together, give that all like a chance to mix together, and then we're going to add in the sauce portion that we made earlier, and we're going to stir this and let it heat on medium for a while until it like thickens up into kind of like a barbecue sauce. That's essentially what we're making. Once it's come together nice and thick, we're going to remove this from the heat and let it sit about 10 minutes to cool down slightly. Let's work on our meat, shall we? So make sure your workstation is nice and clean. We're gonna take our pork loin back ribs or baby back ribs, like you hear in that like Chili's commercial, I think. Anyway, we're gonna take our pan and line it with aluminum foil. It just makes for far easier cleanup. Just trust me on this. And then we're going to take our baby back ribs, and I'm checking for something called a silver skin. Now, silver skin is a very, very fine membrane of tissue. It's very easy to get rid of. Once, you know, it looks like mine were cleaned of that silver skin, but I'm gonna take some salt and pepper and season the underside of these ribs. Now you might be thinking, why do we do that? Because we season everything here. And to top that, we're going to add some of that sauce we made earlier and give that a nice little spread around. I also want to make sure that it gets in all those crannies on the sides, and then we're going to flip this over and do the exact same thing to the top side of these baby back ribs. Just, you know, same process, salt, pepper, and the glaze. All right, now we are gonna glaze the ever-living daylights out of these. We wanna make sure these are so thoroughly coated that there is not a nook or cranny within, on, around these ribs that is not completely sauced. Now, I did miss a spot right there in the bottom left. And as I'm doing this voiceover, it just I cannot look away. I don't know how I missed that. It is one of my greatest shames in this series, and we're gonna do the exact same thing. Salt, pepper, and glaze this other set of ribs. I had some family in town for a big robotics tournament, and I thought this would be a really good way to feed everybody. They loved it. So once these are glazed, we're gonna pop these in the oven at 325 degrees Fahrenheit for like 3 to 3.5 hours until the temperature of the pork ribs comes to 205 degrees. We're roasting these low and slow. You do not need a smoker. I also tented mine with foil just to keep the steam in to help tenderize everything. Now, the time it takes to reach 205 degrees Fahrenheit will vary with a couple of factors, okay? So depending on how thick the ribs are, if you have more meat on them, that might take a little longer. If you're doing more than one rack per pan, again, that might take a little longer. How accurate your oven's temperature settings are. You know, some ovens, it says 350, really registers more around 340. It just takes longer. That's okay. Just keep an eye on it. Make sure you're using a thermometer to get an accurate reading. But once it reaches 205, we're going to glaze these with some additional glaze, and we're going to roast these. We're going to crank up the heat to 425, and we're going to roast these for anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes so that you get a nice golden dark kind of barbecue color on these ribs. And then we're going to take them out and we're going to let them cool for just a second so we don't scald our mouths. But look at that. Holy cow, these are beautiful. Also, look at this. I mean, falling off the bone. I couldn't pull these off of the pan without them completely falling apart. These were so tender. Like, look at this color. Do you see those charred bits? You're gonna top this with some green onions. So good. Let's do our final thoughts. Now, I will admit I was apprehensive about the large amount of onion in this recipe. The reason for that, I mean, I have nothing against onions. I think onions are great in all applications. I just think that in large quantities, you run the risk of them being pretty overpowering. I will say that the sauce is definitely meant to be baked onto the ribs though, because the onions caramelized through the cooking process, which I should have realized would happen in the first place. But it left the sauce with like a nice, sweet, smoky, caramelized flavor with a little bit of onion in it. I mean, it's an onion heavy sauce, but it was really, really good. I think the sauce was really nice. I do think it was a little on the mild side. I think next time I would go ahead and increase the chili powder and the cayenne pepper. The smoked paprika was great. Maybe I would add some liquid smoke next time, just to give it more of like that, you know, smoked in a cooker for like 8 hours kind of taste. But I did really like the sauce. I thought it had a really nice texture as well. It was nice and sticky, which is what you want on ribs. But that's part of the experience, right? With eating like American style barbecue ribs, you're using your hands and you're gonna get that sauce all over your fingers. Very satisfying. I will say I think the pork ribs were fantastic. I think cooking them low and slow is the way to go. You do not need a grill. You do not need a smoker. You don't need any special technique to make these. You just cook it low and slow and let the fats have time to render down and really make things nice and delicate. I will say I also feel that this is an extremely cost-effective way to entertain large groups of people. If we look at the prices on average, a chicken breast is going to run you close to $4.08 to $4.10 per pound. Beef short ribs, if you're going to do an alternative, are looking to cost anywhere between $6.50 to $7.50 per pound. Considering that I got 10 pounds of pork at $3 a pound, I mean, I feel like that's a pretty good deal if you pair this with a couple sides. It's a great cost-effective way to feed a large group of people. You can do this for a birthday, for a holiday, or any reason, because personally I feel like barbecue is great year-round. Now, I will also say that I feel like this recipe can be easily adapted for other proteins. For instance, if you have a religious observance not to eat pork, totally great. You can use like a beef short rib for this. I think for that you would just adapt the timing of how long it would take to cook down, because beef can be a little tougher, so it just might take a little longer. I think also with that said though, you can marinate the beef in this for a couple hours to really let those flavors seep in there. I think also with the beef, you could go a little more intense on the flavors. You could add like a fresh chili. You could add some like citrus or some like fresh ginger. I feel like would really be good in this. But yeah, I feel like it's really adaptable. That brings us to the end of this week's video. If you liked what you saw, please smash that like button. It helps us know that we're on the right track with our content, and it helps YouTube know that you like our content, which helps share it to other people. If you are not subscribed, we would love to have you. Just smash that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications so you know when new videos go live. And leave any comments or questions you have down in the comments below. I love to hear from you, and I'm also happy to answer any questions you might have. And with that, adventurers, I must bid you adieu. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.